The market was nearly empty when his gaze found her. The lights of the auction dome flickered, casting long, trembling shadows over the metal cages. Chains clinked somewhere in the distance, the sound hollow as a heartbeat in an empty room. She stood in the last cell, skin the color of emerald fire, her torn dress barely holding onto her shoulders. Her silver hair glowed faintly in the dim light. Her eyes, cold, bright, almost human, met his and didn't look away. The crowd had gone silent long ago, the bidding ended, but for reasons he couldn't name, Darren Holt couldn't make himself leave. He should have. Every warning screamed in his chest, don't get involved. Don't look too long. But something in the way she held her chin, even behind the bars, made the noise of the universe fall away. She wasn't broken like the others. She was waiting, watching, measuring the world that dared to cage her. The auctioneer's voice cracked through the air. Lot 79. No buyers. Disposal authorized. Her expression didn't change. Not fear, not pleading, only that same quiet defiance. And before he knew it, Darren was standing. I'll take her. The room stopped breathing. The auctioneer blinked. Sir, she's unbonded. Dangerous. Untamed. I said, Darren repeated, his voice low but steady, I'll take her. The murmurs began, rippling through the few remaining traders and soldiers. A human buying a Zalari female, especially one like her, wasn't just madness, it was suicide. But Darren barely heard them. The moment the cage unlocked with a hiss, she stepped forward, the scent of ozone and something sweeter filling the air. Her gaze swept him from head to toe, not with fear but with assessment. You can't afford me, she said, her voice soft but edged like glass. He almost smiled. Wasn't planning to. They walked out together, her bare feet soundless on the dust. The guards parted in uneasy silence, unsure who looked more dangerous, the alien or the man beside her. The sky above the bazaar bled from violet to gold as his ship's engines roared to life. Once aboard, his crew's protests came fast. Captain, she's a war relic. She'll gut us in our sleep. She's a person, Darren said quietly, not looking back. And she stays. He left her in the containment cell near the cargo bay, the hum of the energy field reflecting off her green skin in pulses of blue. She didn't ask questions. She only stared through the barrier at him as if trying to read the shape of his thoughts. That night, the ship drifted through dark space. Darren sat alone in the cockpit, the stars stretched into cold white lines. He couldn't shake the image of her, those eyes like burning moons, the way her voice had curled through him. Then he heard her again. No sound, just a whisper inside his skull. You should have let them destroy me. His hand froze over the console. Why didn't you? The voice wasn't human, it shimmered, a melody laced with something electric. And beneath it, a pulse of emotion that wasn't hers alone. He realized, with a chill that wasn't entirely fear, that their minds were linked. And that she already knew his name. Sleep came to him in fragments after that night, visions not his own bleeding through the dark. He saw oceans that glowed like emerald flame, cities made of silver and glass, and a woman standing on a cliff with chains dissolving into the wind. When he woke, the images faded, but the feeling stayed, her heartbeat, steady and foreign, echoing somewhere beneath his own. In the ship's brig, Vera sat cross-legged behind the flickering barrier. She hadn't spoken aloud since their departure, yet her presence filled every room like static before a storm. The crew avoided her section, muttering that her eyes followed them even through walls. Darren knew better. She wasn't watching them, she was watching him. Days stretched thin. He kept to his quarters, running over mission reports that no longer mattered. Every time he closed his eyes, her voice brushed against his thoughts, softer now, curious instead of accusing. You fought in the Orion sieges, she whispered once. You killed my kind. He answered her in silence. I followed orders. And now you buy what you once destroyed. That one stung. He didn't reply. By the fourth day, he found himself outside her cell again. She was tracing patterns in the air, luminous trails that hung like smoke before fading. When she saw him, the corners of her mouth curved, not quite a smile, more a challenge. Your crew thinks I'm a curse, she said finally. Her spoken words were rougher, less musical than the ones she sent into his head. They might be right. And you? What do you think? I think you're trouble I can't explain. That made her laugh, quiet, sharp, and real. It disarmed him more than any weapon could. A week later, the ship was ambushed in a dead sector. Pirate craft, fast, desperate, and ruthless. The first hit crippled the starboard thrusters. Alarms screamed. Darren's crew scrambled to stations while he fought to stabilize power, but the hull groaned like a wounded beast. Then he felt her in his mind again, stronger than before. Release me. Not happening. They'll board. They'll kill you. Let me fight. He hesitated, just long enough for another blast to shake the ship. A console exploded beside him, sparks catching his jacket. He ran for the brig. Vera was already on her feet when he dropped the field. For an instant, the air seemed to burn around her. Her eyes flared white, and an invisible wave rippled outward. The ship trembled, but not from gunfire. Every pirate vessel on the radar blinked out, their systems dead, drifting. When it was over, she collapsed. Darren caught her before she hit the deck, her skin fever-warm, her breath shallow. She looked up at him, exhaustion softening her usual defiance. Now you know why they called me Untamable, she murmured. He carried her to the med bay, ignoring the stunned stares of his crew. Hours passed before she stirred again. You saved us, he said. No, she replied, her voice barely a whisper. I saved you. He felt her mind brush his again, tender this time, a promise wrapped in danger. And somewhere deep within that connection, he sensed the truth: saving her wasn't a choice anymore. It was already his destiny. That night, as the ship drifted in silence, her last words before sleep echoed through him like a vow: they will come for me. And when they do, you'll have to choose whose side you're on. The days that followed were quieter, though not peaceful. The crew spoke in hushed tones, avoiding both of them. News traveled faster than light: pirate fleets crushed by an unarmed freighter, no survivors. Everyone knew it wasn't luck. Vera spent most hours staring out through the observation deck, wrapped in a blanket she never asked for. The stars painted her skin with shifting light, like a living constellation. Darren joined her sometimes, saying nothing. The silence between them wasn't awkward anymore, it felt like an understanding neither could name. He caught her studying him once. What? He asked. You carry guilt like armor, she said. Even when you saved me, you did it to balance a scale that never existed. He wanted to deny it. Couldn't. You read my thoughts again? I don't have to. She turned toward the glass. Humans wear their pain on the surface. He stepped closer. And you? She looked back, her eyes brighter than the stars outside. We bury ours until it burns through the skin. That night, he dreamed again, not of battles, but of her world before the fall. Green skies, white towers, laughter in a language he couldn't understand. He woke to find her standing in his doorway. No sound, no pretense. Just her. I saw your dreams, she said. You keep reaching for something that's already gone. He didn't answer. She crossed the room slowly, stopping close enough that he could feel the faint pulse of her heat. I shouldn't be here, she murmured. Neither should I. Their lips met before the words fully left his mouth. It wasn't gentle. It was desperate, as if both were trying to erase the war from each other's memory. The air shimmered around them, her energy pulsed like lightning through his veins. Time lost its shape. For a heartbeat, human and alien became something beyond either. Afterward, she rested her forehead against his. You shouldn't love me, she said, her breath shaking. My kind were built for conquest, not for this. He traced a scar along her shoulder. Maybe this is how conquest ends. For the first time, she smiled without sorrow. But the moment didn't last. The ship's alarms tore through the quiet, an incoming signal. Galactic Authority. Vera's expression hardened. They've found us. Within minutes, their comms lit up with orders: surrender the Zalari female. You are harboring a classified weapon. Darren's crew panicked. One of them, young and trembling, refused to obey the captain's order to cut comms. Darren saw it too late: the signal pulse, the silent call for reinforcements. Betrayal. Vera's eyes flared again, power swirling beneath her skin. You can't let them take me. They'll use me to burn worlds. He moved closer. Then we run. Her hand lifted, touching his face. No. You run. Before he could stop her, she pressed her palm to his chest. The world folded in on itself, light, sound, everything gone. When he opened his eyes, he was alone in an escape pod drifting through the void. The ship was gone. She was gone. Only a whisper lingered in his mind, soft and breaking. Don't forget me. And then the stars fell silent. Months passed, though time lost meaning after she vanished. Darren drifted from one border world to the next, half man, half ghost, surviving on stolen fuel and the ache of memory. Every broadcast whispered her name in a different form: the Emerald Phantom, the Last Flame, the Untamed Queen. None knew she was the same woman he'd once held in his arms. He'd tried to move on. Tried to drink her voice out of his head. But every night, when silence grew too deep, he still felt her heartbeat, just faint enough to remind him she was alive. Somewhere. When he finally caught the transmission, it wasn't meant for him. A distress beacon, scrambled beyond recognition, carried a fragment of a song she'd once hummed. That was all it took. He followed it into a war zone. The system of Vara's 9 burned below him, fleets tearing each other apart, slavers against rebels, both fighting for the right to rule over bodies that were never theirs. He threaded his battered ship through the wreckage, sensors flaring with interference. In the chaos, a massive alien dreadnought loomed, marked with symbols he recognized from her skin. He docked in silence, armed only with a blaster and whatever was left of his courage. The corridors smelled of smoke and ozone, walls pulsing faint green. And there, in the heart of the ship, she waited. Vera stood taller now, wrapped in armor that shimmered like molten jade. Her eyes met his, unreadable. You shouldn't have come. You left me with nothing else to do. Around them, the ship trembled under enemy fire. She turned away, fingers dancing across a control console. They made me their weapon again. I destroyed what I could before they could use me. But it won't matter, soon this whole system will burn. He stepped closer. Then let's stop it. Together. She froze. You still think this is about saving me? He reached out, touching her hand. No. It's about saving what we could have been. Something in her expression cracked: grief, love, disbelief, all at once. Then the dreadnought shuddered violently. Hull breaches. The reactor's whine rising into a scream. She looked back at him, tears catching the light. I can't control it anymore, she whispered. Then let me. He pulled her close, and for the first time since the auction, she didn't resist. Energy surged between them, the same current that had always linked their minds. Only now, it burned brighter, wilder. He guided it through her, stabilizing the chaos, his body shaking with the strain. Darren, stop, you'll die. Worth it. The explosion never came. Instead, the energy folded inward, collapsing into silence. When the light faded, the dreadnought was gone along with the fleets, the war, everything. A small shuttle drifted through the debris field hours later. Inside, 2 figures slept side by side, breathing as one. No broadcasts, no signals, just the hum of stars and the steady rhythm of 2 hearts learning to exist in the same universe. Years later, travelers would tell stories of a pair who appeared at dying worlds and vanished before dawn, a human and a green-skinned woman whose hands could bend light itself. Some called them ghosts. Some, lovers. But those who listened close swore they heard a woman's voice in the static between transmissions. When the auction ended, I was left behind, until one human raised his hand.